Hi everyone, it's Dasher Dave here, and back for another crafty video. Sorry, I had a momently, I can't try that again. I had a moment where I couldn't even think or speak. I say a moment, it seemed to have lasted to several moments. So today is, for me, it is Sunday the 23rd of March. It is gloriously sunny outside. It's only 8 degrees centigrade, which is about 46 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Conversions may vary, basically, depending on how good you are at converting things. So it's a nice day. It feels spring-like. I feel fairly good. I've started to come down with a bit of a sniffle, but other than that, I've been lying in the sunshine, as in not outside. I've been lying on my bed and the sunshine's been streaming in, and I feel rejuvenated and energized and young and obviously deluded as well. So anyway, let's get on. So what we're going to make today is going to make this, which is a kind of a little fold out thing with a removable, so a replaceable notepad. With it also has a pocket in the back here, and it has a slot pocket in here, so a tuck pocket in here. So, and then that folds in and that folds in, and we will fasten it. And I think we might fasten it with some magnets, if I can, well, separate them, and also if I can engineer it correctly, and not damage my watch in the process of doing so. So, shouldn't really get magnets near electronics, but hey, woohoo! Let's go freewheeling down the hill. So, what you're going to need to make this. Now, I'm going to make this a bit more decorative, the one that we're going to make with you, but this is my prototype, so hence the reason why it's only made from white card. So, we are going to make it from white card again, but we're going to cover it this time. So, we're going to make some panels to go on it. So, what you will need is a 12 by 12 sheet of card. So, I know that people like the making something from 12 by 12 sheets of... Sorry, if I pause and while it won't pause for you, it'll be cut for you. It's because I'm combating a bunged up nose. So anyway, what we need to do is, let's take it off there, Dave, because you're completely overstepping the mark now. What you need to do is you need to cut this down. So you want it to be 12 one way and 9 the other way. And that's to fit a booklet of paper so folded. The booklet measures a measurement that I didn't write down. It measures 5.5 by 8.5. So isn't that not a US measurement? Is that not 8.5 by 11? It is, which is a standard measurement in America, because we use A4, which is different size, but what I use to make my little booklets is I used some of these, which are the printer paper, and I've just realised that this must be 8. I've always thought, wonder what size a standard piece of letter paper was, and it must be that size, because that's what I've just basically measured. This will measure 11, which it does, by 8.5. Yeah, so there you go. But I was using up my coffee dyed paper. I've got lots of things. So we're going to go 9, because that way then it gives us a bit of separation top and bottom, like a border, sorry, and we're going to go and we're going to cut it down to 9. I'm going to leave it at 12 the other way around. So your piece of card will measure 12 by 9. And on the portrait landscape, sorry, on the landscape, the portrait landscape, on the landscape, we're going to do some scoring. So we are going to score at, not with this, Dave, because that's going to cut it, Dave. That will make things go all horribly wrong. So you're going to score it at 2.5 inches. Okay, you're going to score it at 3. Then you're going to score it at 9. Wherever 9 is there. In the usual place, Dave. And then 9.5. Okay, and that's going to give it our kind of wraparound. So, now I'm going to score all of those in. Sorry, I've got Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper in my head. So, trying not to sing it. Because nobody wants my version of Time After Time playing Time After Time in their head. That's an earworm nobody wants to have. And yeah, so just score all of these in. And I often use white card as my construction base because it's usually quite cheap comparative to using Tim Holtz card, or even craft card actually has become quite expensive. So this is our shape that we've got. Now, as you can see, it doesn't meet in the middle, and that's because we've got some panels on it. Now, the panels are there to do two things. They're there to, A, strengthen it, so it gives it a bit more rigidity, and also it gives you the ability to put pockets in. Now, I didn't put a pocket in this side, and that's because that's the one that sits over this way. If you put something in it, it would just hang out. So the one on the inside sits inside, if you see what I mean. So the next pieces of card that you will need is, you will need 2 pieces of white card, and they are going to be cut to 9 by 3.5 and 9 by 4.5. So I'm going to take another piece of 12 by 12, and I'm going to not just guess, Dave, I'm going to use a thing. So first of all, I'm going to cut it to 9. Cut that down to 9, and then we'll use those offcuts in either in this or other things. Yeah, and then so this is so that's 9 that way now. Okay, so we want to cut it to 3.5. Well, one of them at 3.5. That's my 3.5, and then the other one at 4.5. And again, we'll just put those to one side. So what we've got now is we've got our panels that will go on the front. So the bigger one is the one that wraps around the outside, and the smaller one is the one that sits inside. Okay. So, and then what we'll do is we'll cut another 3 panels this time, 2 of them of which will be the same size as these. So one of that side and one's that size, and then one for fitting around the back. But we'll do that when we get to that stage. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to make the mechanics of this. So in here we are going to have a pocket on the inside at the back, and we're going to have this pocket here. Remember, this one isn't a pocket because otherwise it would sit over. So basically you would have, I don't know, find something. It's a bit big, Dave. I'm trying to explain it and thinking I probably wouldn't be able to explain it. So if this was sat in a pocket here and it's sticking out, it would stick out over the front of the mechanism. So it's not a mechanism, but you know what I mean. So not doing anything with that side, but this side we are. And you could choose to just stick it down on 3 sides. So you'd put glue around these 3 sides all the way around, so those 3, and you could just have a tuck pocket. But I wanted a slot pocket because you know I like a slot pocket. So what I did was I took my ruler, I butted it up to that first crease line, and I literally used the width of the ruler. Now it's about 1 inch, so if you wanted to measure it, you could do so. And all I did was I put a very faint line on there that we can use as a guide. Yeah, and then what we did was I took my what are these called? Crocodile? No, it's not a crocodile, Dave. It's not an alligator. What's it called? It's a crocodile. That's what. And then what I did was with the small hole, I just had it so that it sat 3/4 of an inch. So I moved this marker to 3/4 of an inch, so it sits 3/4 of an inch in, and all I did was I straddled that line and made a hole. So your hole roughly sits on the middle of that line. It's not going to be perfect because it's Dave doing it. So and then round this side, and that way then you know it measures the same in, because you're using the measurement on your crocodile. Or you can use a crocodile if you prefer, but you know it can get a bit messy if you use crocodile. You might not have any fingers left, so they get a bit snappy. So once we've done that, what we're going to do now is we're going to use that line that we created to cut either side of, just so that we've got a tiny slot. So I'm going to make this line darker so that you can see it. Not that I wouldn't normally do it this darker, but I'm going to do it so that you can see it. So I'm going to make a much darker line, and hopefully you can see that. I can, so hopefully you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our ruler. Now you've seen me make these before. We're going to put our ruler so that it sits just so you can see a little bit. So where you see the line that you've drawn, you want to see a little bit of the white card between the ruler and the line, and we're going to cut down that line just to the hole. So you don't want to go too far, and slow down when you get to this end, otherwise you'll overfly and you'll just cut it off. You just want to make sure that's cut through, and remember it's always better to cut several times than press down really hard and then slip and take a chunk out of your finger. And you're going to flip it round, and you're going to do the same again, putting it on that line so that you've got a little bit of space between the line and the ruler, and then you're going to cut that. And slow down when you get to the end. I think that's gone through this time. And pull that out. Come on. Yep, it's free, so that's fine. So that's what you've got. You've got this slot. Okay, so you've got one of those nice slot pockets that, well, that people like. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue this one down. Okay, so we're going to glue this one so that it glues fully onto here. So what I'm going to do is put glue all across this panel. Now I'm going to open it out like this, just making sure that I don't put glue to the left of that first crease line. And I'll put some glue if I can find it. It's there. And I filled this up, except for my I've only got art glitter glue left, and it's got very liquid. So you know it doesn't like the weather. We know it's very tetchy about the weather, isn't it? Bless it. It couldn't live in the UK if it gets this upset about a bit of cold. So or rain. We get a bad press in the UK, the fact that people think it always rains here. It doesn't always rain. What we mean by it's always raining in the UK is it's raining somewhere. It's not always raining everywhere. So it's just like it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world. That's a really good excuse to have a drink, isn't it? So, and we're going to put that on there. Just marry it up to that crease, that fold. Once you don't pick it up too soon, Dave. Once you've got it on that, then you can pick it up, fold it, and just make sure that when you fold it, you're tapping it down just to make sure that that line is on that edge and it isn't overhanging it. Okay, so that's that one. That's your first panel. Okay, and then we're going to do this other panel. So this time, what we want to do is, this is the bit where we're going to tuck into. So we don't want, what we're going to do is we're going to put a line of glue down this very edge, but not backfill this bit. We're going to go either side of the hole and all of this tab. So let me just kind of try and give you a line with a pencil. We're going to do all the way down here with glue. We're going to do all the way up here with glue, and I'm going to do all of this with glue. Yeah, but not this bit, otherwise you won't have a slot pocket. Okay, so I'm going to put that glue on all the way down that bit there, and then we're going to fill all of this either side just up to that slot either side. Oh, Brian is here. I think it's Brian. It's either Brian or Vic. If it's Vic, he's left early. So identify yourself, caller.
It's me.
It's Brian. So, both of whom have keys to my house, so like it could be anybody. Hopefully it's like either one of them, or I've just been kissed on the head by a burglar. So we're going to just stick this bit down. Just make sure you go up to the edges. They're the bits that are going to peel away otherwise. And then again, I'm just going to turn it round so I can see it. Marry these up to there, up to that edge. Just tamp it down while it's open, and then we're just going to lie it down, stick it down properly. There we go. So that's that shape. So it's this way round. So remember, this is now a pocket here. You've got a pocket for this bit, and it doesn't matter if it overhangs on this side. So if it sticks out past the opening, then when it's closed it won't be seen anyway. So that's that bit. Don't leave that in there, Dave, because it's wet glue and you'll never get that out. So now what I need is a rubber or an eraser. Oh dear, or we're not, or maybe not. I put them in the wrong bit. Sorry, I've got a dirty end on my eraser, so just going to rub out that line. Any remnants of that line. There we go. Cool. So that's the outside. Okay. Any bits where it hasn't glued down, just check them now. Do it now before you start putting other layers on, because you find it harder to bend it all back if you don't do it now. Didn't do a very good job at that at all. Bit of glue overhang there. Right. Smoosh that down. Just because I probably didn't smoosh properly. There we go. I'm going to put that in there. It might be very runny, but I can guarantee it will just solidify in the bits that you don't want it to. So that's that bit. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make the back bit, the fastening thing. So I'm going to show you what I made this one with. So let's open this up. Now remember this is my prototype, so it doesn't have a lot of pages in it. Okay, so what we've done is we've made it so that you can't see the mechanism itself. Now what I've used is these. These are called archive clips, and this is what they look like. So I don't like handling these because they're a bit sharp on the edges, and it's not about cutting my fingers. I don't like the sensation of scratching across the surface of my nail. So, and they come in two parts. So they come with this bit that's going to sit inside, and it's going to be trapped inside the back pocket that we have. Okay, so you don't see the mechanism for it. Okay, and they come with this bit, which is the thing that locks it. The only thing is they have a slight shape on these. Now that would make it quite bulky on the back. So what I did do was I took a pair of, I don't know whether you can see that, they've got it's got a bit of a rock to it, so you can see what I mean. It's not flat, so what I did was I took my pliers and I just literally flattened it all the way down, all the way along, so that it didn't get in the way and didn't bulk out the card too much. I went down one side all the way. I should have had one made. Could have said here's one I made earlier then. And then down the other side. So I don't know what that, I think maybe it's a bit of grip so that it stays. They're supposed to be full suspension files, and I think what it does is it Just adds a bit of grip so they don't fall out really easily. But we're gluing this in place so we don't have to worry about that. So now what we've done is made that back bit just a flat bit of metal. Now you do have to then be careful because it's now basically like a blade, so you just don't want to hurt yourself. So then this back panel here is 9 inches, just like it was before, because this measures 9 inches top to bottom, and it's 4 inches this way. So we're going to take another piece of paper, and hopefully we might have a piece that's already 4 inches. We do, and we want it to be 9 inches, which it is. So almost like it was meant to be. Well, basically that's the reason why I made it like that size. The pocket 4 inches is because it was one of my offcuts anyway. So rather than waste not want not. Yeah, that's the right term, isn't it? Waste not want not. So this measures 1/2 inch. The holes are approximately 1/2 inch away from the very edge of it. Okay, now I say approximate because it's basically whatever the crocodile gives you, because what I did was I set my thing to, I don't know what this is called, spacer, yeah. A spacer, a star. No, don't sing, please don't sing, Dave. And then what you want to do is you want to find the middle of this, which is 4.5, because we know it's 9. So let's go. What is that? I thought. So we're going to go. Let's measure 1/2 inch, and we're going to put a line. And you could eyeball this. You don't have to do this perfectly, but I'm doing it for you guys. Taking one for the team. So again, I'm just going to draw a line on there. So there you go. That's our 1/2 inch. And what you want to do is you want to find the middle of that line. Which, oh, sorry, I'm using the wrong bit there. So the middle of 9 is 4.5. So we're going to put a line just in the middle. And then we're going to take this that's got the holes already in it, and we're going to find the middle of this. Now we want to find the middle of it, so I'm just going to go right from one end to the other, and it measures 3.5 inches. Oh, thanks, Brian. Measures 3.5 inches, which makes it a figure that's impossible to work out in my head. No, it doesn't make it impossible to work out in my head. It's just my brain's just gone. I can't remember what the measurement was, and I didn't write it down stupidly. So 1/2 of 1/2 is 1/4, and 1/2 of 3 is 1.5. So 1 3/4. So if I stick this on the 1 3/4 line, and I put a line there, and I put this. Oh, let's do it this way. And I put a line there. That isn't right. What? 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and what have I done? That's 2 3/4, Dave. That's why it's not right. I'm going to put a line there, and then that way then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this. Now if you weren't using these, you could use just a ribbon, so you could just make some holes, yeah, feed a ribbon through it before you glue it down, and then the ribbon ends can be the bit that you tie it down with. I'm only using this because I've got it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that on there, and I'm going to stick it so it's in the middle of those two lines, with this edge of it being on this line. Let's do it that way around, and it's easier. It's in the middle of there, and we're going to make a hole there, and we're going to make a hole there, roughly. Then we're going to use this. I'm going to use the bigger holes, and we're going to make a hole Actually, I'm going to come a bit further this way. I'm going to sit it so that the circle is on the line. There we go, that's better. And the same this side. Circle is on the line, there we go. Cool, so there are 2 holes. What we're going to do then is you're going to have a front and a back. Now, I could use this as the front, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it over, because that way then you're not going to see all the pencil marks and I'm not going to have to rub them out. That slots into there. And now you see that sits nice and flat against there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to glue a line of glue this, so let's just make this easier for you to see. So I want to have this as a pocket, so I shouldn't have any glue coming further than, I'm just going to put a bit of a line, it might be a bit wonky, nothing further than there. So I want the mechanism to be glued down, but I don't want it to encroach in the pocket. Okay, and I'm going to put a thumb hole in it with a bit of an eyeball as to whether that's in the middle or not. It looks like a sad person with squinting eyes now. Squinting eyes and sad, because it's going to be a downward facing semicircle. It's sad. Sorry. I see things. I'm always pointing clouds out to people and going, look at that. See that cloud? It looks like a... And people are like, no, what? Where? Which one? Where? I can't see. You're mad. Have you taken your tablets today? So, we're going to put some glue along this line. And all the way to the back. We're going to put a little bit of glue underneath it. We don't need a lot because we don't really need to glue it down, because it's not going to go anywhere once we've glued the card down. I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back of it as well. And then we're going to put some glue down either side, just so it lines up with the... Ooh. Or you could completely miss the card, Dave. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so that's the one I've made. I want that one. So this time we want to, this box fold, you want to come to the second fold and you want to butt it up to the second fold. So the first piece of card we glued on, we butted up to the first fold. This one you're butting up to the second fold. But you don't want to go over that line. You want this to still be able to curve round. So put that down, lay that down, take that glue off that post, take the bits of glue. You can be neater than I can, because you won't be having a, well, you're probably not going to be having a camera over you. Okay, so now we've got this in place, we've got our pocket. You just want to make sure that it has formed a pocket and it's not come apart. See here, this has got a little bit of glue missing, but we'll just rectify that, glue it down, it'll all ooze out. There we go. So we've made the kind of mechanics of it, except for the only thing we need is we need paper. So I'm just going to use the paper that I had from the other one. I'm just going to pop this in, and I made the holes in the paper just like I did with putting the holes in the card, and I wanted, all I had to do was just make sure that it wasn't going to sit across this fold line, and then I decided where I wanted them, how far away I wanted them from the spine. So it kind of sits in the middle, and my measurement here was actually 0.5 centimetre. Oh no, it was 1 centimetre, sorry. So which is about, oh heck, I can't see those little things. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 6/8 of an inch from the edge. Those where the holes are. You can make that noise if you want to. I'm just going to have a drink of tea as Brian's brought it to me. Okay, so now we're going to pop this mechanism back in. So this mechanism, if you have these, they work like this. So you sit them on there. You fold this down into this channel. Okay, and then you push those little clips back, and you push that one into that channel, and you bring clips back down kind of into the middle, and then that holds the paper in, and you can refill it then that way. So this is going to fold round this way like this. So what we need to do now is we need to put on our magnets. So because we're going to cover it in panels, we're going to put them in now, and that way then they'll be hidden. So it's actually not 2 magnets you need. You need 1 magnet and a piece of magnetic metal. So I've got this piece here, which is magnetized, and I've got this. This one is a little bit flatter than the others. So if you look at my other magnets I've got, these are, oh actually I don't know whether they are that much flatter. No, that one's just in a case, I believe. The thing is, once you get them together, you find yourself not being able to get them apart. So I try and keep bits of, I've got other magnets that are a bit thicker but smaller. Whenever I have anything that it has a magnetic mechanism in it, I try and keep the piece of metal that it magnetizes to. You don't need 2 magnets together. You just want a piece of metal that is magnetic and a magnet. And that way then they're not going to, if you get 2 magnets, then they're not lined up the way that they like to be. They'll repel each other, and what they might do is they might then put the card out of skew. So we're going to have it so that, I think about this first. I think I want it so that I have the magnet on the inside, so that's going to be facing up like that. Oh. I wonder if it stays there. Stay there for a minute. So it faces up like this, and we're going to have the metal on the outside. That way then it's not going to stick up too much. So now we want to make sure, well, it doesn't have to be in the middle. Nobody's going to see it, are they? So, but we'll try and, aesthetically, we'll try and get it in the middle. So we know it's 4.5, so it's got to go that way a bit. So that's about the middle. I'm not worrying too much. Yeah, it'll do. I'll say it'll do, and then he has to move it. There you go. That's better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw round that one. So I've got an idea of what, it doesn't have to be a full circle around it. I'm just going to draw so that I can kind of get it back in the same place again. Take that one off, and I'm going to put this outer panel on first with my disc glued in place. Now, like I say, as just the same as the mechanism that holds the paper in, you don't need to really glue it down really well. You're just gluing it net for now so it doesn't move, because when you put your panel on, that'll hold it all in place. So panel wise, what are we going to have? Panel show. Shall we have that on the outside? In fact, shall we go, I might go, so there's a bit of a natural line, like it's like a line in the paper. I think I might go to there, so I might cut the 2 pieces now. So remember, the inner one is 3.5, but we want to cut this down to 9 first, and I want to use this top half, so I'm cutting the bottom bit off. And we're going to cut this to 3.5. And then we're going to cut this bit to 4.5. And panel there, and then we want another panel for the back. So I will use one of these pieces now. Again, we want to cut this down to 9. Cut that bit off, and then cut this down to 6, which we know which is 6 because we have Tim Holtz has kindly put a separation on that bit. I think that's the piece I want on the back. These bits can just sit out of the way for now. So, because I'm having a moment, yep, good. Just checking that the video was recording. This is the bit that's going to sit on the back, like this. And then these are the panels that are going to sit on the front. So, we've got this little one that sits here, like this. And we've got this one that'll sit like this. Okay, so it doesn't perfectly line up, but you know, it's a good facsimile. Get me with my big words. What I'm going to do before I get to that stage is I'm going to ink it. So, because it's very plain card, I'm going to dull it down a bit. That's not the. This is not the ink you're looking for, Dave. So we'll go with sweet toffee, not sweet like chocolate. Go for sweet toffee, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to catch those edges. And we're going to stick a panel on this, on these sides, but I wasn't worried about what I was using, as long as so I'll just use the scraps that I cut off, basically. So as long as I got my front and back panels the way that I wanted, the side panels don't worry me. So, but if you want to make sure that if you want the same continuation all the way round, then remember it's not. So from here to here is not 12 inches. It's actually 14. But if you were sticking some file folder on it, then that would be fine. So I'm just going to go around the edges, the bits that you're going to see between the panels. Yeah, and again on the tops and bottoms. Just to give it that softer, doesn't look like it's been made from stark white paper that way. Okay, I'll do the front bit now. All the way around. Right, I'll open this panel out and do it like this way. Now you could round these corners off if you want to. I'm not going to because I'm not going to. Because I said so, that's why. If you want to, absolutely do that. But I didn't want to, and that's not up to you. So, no. Yes, little things and little minds. You know what they say about little things and little minds. We won't go there. So, just softening all those edges up now. It actually looks quite nice like this. So, but I'm not going to leave it like this. I am going to cover it. So, okay. So the inside we'll decide shortly, but the outside, let's get these panels put on. So this is the way up we want it. So this panel is going to go on here. So I might as well do the edges of this panel now. Just covering up that white core of the card. Not to look too new, do we? Well, I don't want it to look too new, do I? Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I will find something to lean on. I'll find this to lean on, and then we're just going to put some of this softly around the edges. This is a very strange thing for me, I know, not to go full on heavy hand bull in a china shop style. I'm trying. It's been said, I'm very trying. I'll do that, and then I'll do this on this as well. All the way around. I'm so glad that spring is springing. And next weekend is Easter weekend, but in the UK it's also the weekend when the clocks go forward, spring forward. So yeah, so the clocks will go forward, which means that we lose an hour's sleep, but we get more. The mornings will be lighter. It's basically, I think it's a throwback to when farming really relied on light. I mean, they don't these days because they can plough and mow and harvest in night because they have floodlit combine harvesters and floodlit plant machinery. But I think, like I say, it's a throwback, so I know that not all countries change their clock times, so I don't believe America does. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, stick it in the comments. Or if I'm right, stick it in the comments. Or just stick it in the comments. So there we go. So that's my panels that I'm doing. So come back to this one. So we'll do the front one first because we need to sandwich the magnet, which I nearly thought I'd lost but haven't, in between on this one. So we're going to stick this on here. So we're just going to glue all the way over the back of here. It's funny how liquid this glue is, but yet I still have to give it some force to get it out of this thing. Although I've got to say, this is the first fine tip that I've had for a long time that hasn't completely jammed up, although, you know, I'm now thinking, oh, touch wood, because that could all go horribly wrong, having said such things. Never tempt fate, Dave. There we go. I'm going to flip that open. Now, I don't know whether you noticed before I started this video, but the mat was clean. I actually wet cleaned it before I came on the air, so I thought I was being very good. So that encapsulates that little metal disc now. Yeah, and then we're going to do this side. So this time what we want to do is we want to put this magnet somewhere where it will naturally want to be. Yep, or wherever the disc is. Yep, that's about the middle of the disc. And then what we want to do this time is we need to find some way to transfer where that belongs over to that side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on there and flip it over, and hopefully it will be wet enough to make an impression. And it is. There we go. So we know now where that's going to have to stick, which is there. So again, I'm just going to stick it down for the sake of it not moving around. And this will have a bit of a shape to it. So there's two ways you can deal with that. One's ignore it, and two is cut it out. So what you can do is, if you make sure that that's not going to move before you do anything to this, you do the same technique. It might not be as easy though on this one. Let's use a bit of something else. Let's use some alcohol ink. Now alcohol ink isn't cause a problem other than splashing it, Dave. You don't want that much on. What you're going to do, what you can do then is get that in the right place. So it sits nicely, and then press it and flip it up, and then that is roughly where the hole is. Now you can try and cut that out, so you could use your crocodile, or you could use your borer tool, or you can just, so we've got this light stain on this side, it's fine because I used alcohol ink. Or what you can do is you can just give it so that it doesn't pucker the whole thing. You can just put a little bit of a cross through it. You want to make sure that this goes all the way through. Now if you're using ribbon or what's the other thing? Ribbon or Velcro dots or whatever, you don't need to do this because you're not going to have the bulk. But I'm just doing this. Well, you'll see what hopefully you'll see what I mean. So we've got this, and then hopefully that should kind of just push through a little bit. So I'm just going to use the back end of my pencil just to push it through, and then when I stick this down onto here, that magnet should be able to just push through a little bit through here without buckling the whole thing. Now I might need to go a little bit wider with that, with those cut lines. Now it's only a little tip. If it doesn't work for you, then fine, that's fine. Just if it does work for you and you like it, just tell other people it was Dave. If you if you don't like it, that tip, don't do it, but just don't tell anybody it was me. Oh, I think I'm funny. Okay, so I'm just going to pop my finger through there a bit. Loosen all of that up, and then we're going to try that again and push it down. Yeah, that's much better. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to stick this down. So we'll glue the whole thing, the whole panel down. And obviously, if you're doing this, you can, you make it from whatever scrap card you've got, the base. I certainly wouldn't use your nice stuff for making the whole thing with. Put your panels on. You want the panels there anyway, because that's going to strengthen it and turn it into like a notebook. So don't use your Tim Holt stuff all the way through, otherwise you'll just be wasting paper really, so because you're not going to see it all. So I'm going to flip that over so I'll lay it down so that I get it completely pressed down, and then I'm going to flip it this way and do this, and now you can see it, I've got the magnet kind of sticking through a bit, and then you can just hide that by flip it all open a little bit first. You can just put, now, like I say, you can make it into a hole and cut it out, or you can do this, and then you just put a little bit of glue around the magnet, and then just let those kind of clasp it, grab hold of it, like little claws, like holding it up. Well, like a diamond ring. I don't have a diamond ring, so I wouldn't know. Are they called claws? The things that hold the, the thing that holds the diamond in place. That's basically what these are doing. There we go. So didn't want it to be completely uncovered if I haven't glued the thing down properly. So if you glued it down with a bit of hot glue, you know, then you could cut it out, you could cut a circle out and have the magnet showing. But if it isn't completely glued down, it will just pull off and end up stuck to this side. Whereas this way, having those little claws just holds on to it a little bit. Now you can emphasize that, you can do whatever you like. You know, you could put a little bit of you know, I might well put a piece of faux sellotape on there, you know, faux aged sellotape. I'd say I might if I could find it. So, but that's basically what we've got. So we've got this that opens up like this. So you have to be careful while the glue is all still drying that you don't pull the magnet off. Okay, so, and then on the inside, now I know I've got a dot there. That's because I went a bit heavy-handed with my what's that called? Alcohol ink. But I don't mind. I'm just going to gently go over this, catch all the edges, but also just go over the surface of it. Go for all of this randomly, all over it. Be careful on those prongs, Dave. I will cut this bit out. Okay, so that's what I've done. I've kind of mottled it up, made it look a bit flecked with dirt and grime. You know what I like. That's going to go in there. Okay, and then what we can do is we can now. Oh no, let's not close it yet, Dave. Let's put these back in. Put this back in. And the channel. There we go. Put that back in there. There we go. And this could just be like a nice little standalone journal that you could have to give to a friend, like if somebody, you know, like notebooks. We'll glue the panel on the back and then we'll do the ones at the side, and then that's kind of our little video today. So you could leave the panels at the side if you prefer. I am going to put something on mine. And what you're going to need is it's going to be again the same height, which is 9 inches, and it's going to be a little shy of ½ an inch. So I say a little shy, and that's because of the folds. So again, they don't interfere with the whole mechanics of the thing. Not sure that's the right way. Oh, it is. That's good. It's always better if it is. I'm just going to stick that on there. So on these, I'm going to take some card that I have. I do have some decorative cards still somewhere. In this bit. Is this 9? It is. So what we'll do is we'll cut this down too. So what we want is, it's not quite ½ an inch, so you want to be about 1/16 of an inch away from ½ an inch. So whatever that is, 7/8. No, what's ½ an inch? That's 4/8. So 3/8. You want it to be 3/8 of an inch. Is that right? Or 1/16. 7. No, half of 16 is 8. So 7/16. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not very good at I do try. I try to. You know what they say? Fake it till you make it. I do try to understand the inches thing, but it doesn't really work for me because I'm I'm a centimetres boy. So where's my sweet toffee? I can't remember what it is. What was it called? Sweet toffee. I was correct. Better job at remembering those names than I am at remembering the Tim Holtz ones. In fact, I'm just going to do one at a time because I can't get them to stay together. So just getting the edges inked. Like that. That's that one. And then do the same for this one. Completely inked all over. Oh. Is that it? Got everything? Yep, I have. Okay, so then, no, close it, Dave, otherwise you'll forget. These are going to stick in here. So I might actually just go a bit darker over the surface. That one there, or that one? What shall I have? Which one shall I use, Dave? Oh, that one fits perfectly. That is the right one to be there. So I'm going to glue this on. Not easy doing this one, but so this would be perfect for somebody who maybe doesn't really understand what we junk journalers do. You know, if you were making them a gift, because I do know that I've had a few people say, why would somebody want all that crap in a journal? And I'm always like, what do you mean, why would somebody? Because it's beautiful, and you know, art is the word subjective? Is that the right word? Brain's not quite working. I'm having a hot flush as well now. That's a whole other story. Yeah, so I've had people say, oh, yeah, I guess it's quite nice, but it's not my thing. And yet something more like this might be nice for them. You could break them into the world of junk journaling. There you go, and that's it. So that's all sits together. Nice little folio notebook. They can keep their, you know, receipts and stuff in, and pocket at the back. You know, you can refill that. They can have a nice thick pad in there. I mean, that's just there for an example, but you could get a nice decent size pad in there. You've got a good 1/2 inch to play with. But yeah, there we go. So I hope you like that. Another little treat from Dash of Dave. We all need a dash of Dave in our lives. Even I do. So not Dashing Dave like some people think I'm called. I'm not Dashing Dave. Trust me, I'm not dashing. Unless I'm in a rush. I might be dashing somewhere. But yes, shut up, Dave. Shut up before you find yourself in a big hole that you can't get out of. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please, you know what you need to do. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, because that tells me you did, but it also tells YouTube that you did. And don't forget, if you aren't already subscribed, because over 70% of you are not subscribed. So, you know, that really would help me if you subscribe. Click the bell notification thing to get notifications of my upcoming videos. Every time I release a new video, you'll get notified. And you know me, there's always something a bit different. And I will see you in the next video on that note. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, my name is Dash of Dave, and I love you all without exception until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to. And I'll see you all soon. Lots of love. Lots of hugs. Although that That doesn't sound like hugs, that sounds like a guerrilla attack. All right then, take care folks. See you soon. Bye.